I have been given a challenge by the other starts another player named Rendghast to make a DGing setup for, well, DGing. DGing is Dungeon Galaxian, basically Dungeon Delving. His challenge is to make some sort of fast Dungeon Delving setup to quickly slaughter hordes of enemies in the dungeons in order to get their fat loot. As you can see, he specifically asked for a Tech 16 setup, since I proclaimed that a Tech 16 setup can beat his Tech 19 setup, which is much more pimped out. So this is my Tech 16 gunner. It is using a Primal Bear. Ship window says Tech 16 capital ship. These are its resistances, which are not bad, but okay. And here is the AUG stats. These are the two weapons we're using. You can see this thing only does a little 5,500 DPS. It is very low. These are the equipped weapons and, well, equipment. The only things in this setup that are not T16 or below are the scoop, which you can see here, the vacuum scoop, two passive mods, radioactive and transcendental, tractor, and we don't use the tractor, so we don't care about that. The whole point of the vacuum scoop is to simply scoop up everything very quickly, so I don't have to manually go over and scoop it, or manually tractor something to me and scoop it. Second item is the Swifty Spray Onslaught. I just happen to have one of these things in my storage. There is a lower tech version based off the Vapid Attack Neuro Tweak, and you can use that as well. I just happen to have these, and I didn't have Vapid Attacks. There's also this hull extender, which doesn't really matter because there's not very many there's only one passive mod, and it doesn't really help all that much. You can use the Tech 15 version of this and do basically the same thing. And finally, the Radish Torch. The Radish Torch is the best way to explain how the Radish Torch works. It fires bullets behind the ship rather than in front of the ship as normal. These bullets have knockback, and they propel the ship forwards. The mechanic is that knockback, tractors, and explosions will propel the ship forward at a speed twice as high as its actual normal speed. You can see here it goes 161. I can get it up to 122, which is double of 161. 322, which is double of 161. This ship has 1,200 free hull space, which is very useful because we are DGing. Everything else is Tech 15, Tech 16, and down. So, without further ado, let's get started. The two weapons we're using, since this is the gunner and gunner's multi-fire, are Capital Armageddon laser prototypes. I happen to have some modded ones, so these are the ones that we're using. So you can see that these AIs are dropping basically like flies. They're Urka, they have moderate resist to everything, immune to laser, and are weak to heat. We're using a mining weapon, so it doesn't really matter. As you can see, I'm not actually shooting at some of the secondary targets. That is because Gunner has the ability to utilize the Death Blossom type item, which is technically an overloader, but is actually a super item, a toggleable super item that doesn't take up a super item slot. So This allows me to multi-target, and therefore Gunner is a multi-target class, which massively speeds up DGing. Ice pick. So with this setup, you are not able to clear out these Tech 20 AIs very quickly. And the ideal is just to basically clear them as fast as possible without trying to clear them all. And as you can see here, the ice pick is shooting with parasites, which are going to be a pain in the butt. Since these ice picks are very tanky, we're just not going to bother with them very often. Multi-target in action. The Scruplins are easy to kill, but they don't drop really much. Big Greens are also likewise an AI with very tough skin, so to speak. They're pretty durable, and generally are not worth killing because they're just too durable. But being a Tech 20 AI, if they can be dispatched quickly, they can drop their augmenters up to sub level, which stands for superior. Every so often I will use the Swifty Spray super item, which will give me a big boost of rate of fire, which means my puny DPS can go up and give me some burst damage. Ideally, with this kind of situation, since my energy draining is pretty fast, I should have solar panels. I'm probably going to pick some solar panels up afterwards to boost energy regeneration. All these fires do not help. The challenge basically is DG as much as you can within an hour or 2 hours. I'm just going to DG for an hour because the route is fairly simple. Just repeat, repeat, repeat. So while this setup can DG out in, where is it? DF 190, 200 area, it can DG out here. It doesn't do it particularly fast. It does have some downtime while waiting for things to regenerate. Oh, well. Well, that was my bad mistake. I accidentally pressed the super item rather than pressed my afterburners, essentially. So I'm going here, scroll down, buy some solar panels. We'll get about 20. Go here, all, equip, panels, and pin. This does reduce the amount of hole space that we have, but it's all good. So now I'm going to put all the unequipped stuff and chuck it into the storage shed. The goal, however, is to DG in the lower DF areas in order to ensure that we have plenty of things to kill quickly. Because as you can see, the Death Blossom is basically making short work of this AI group, which a single target class would probably have some issues killing at the same rate. At this point, I'm just thinking to myself, I should have more regeneration items. Because this is slow going for regenerating shields. And these AIs are hurting me pretty hard. Hurting me pretty good. But we're able to do this very quickly. At higher levels, so basically, Gunner is a capital ship class. It has all sorts of damage applications. At the higher ends, as the Gunner goes up in tech, things just get better and better and better. Gunners get tankier. Even though this capital ship is pretty tanky, it is not optimal. I'm essentially using a Tech 16 capital ship in Tech 20 content. Which is about 2 steps down from where the actual content should be to clear it efficiently and effectively. Don't get me wrong, the Gunner can definitely do this work. It's probably a little easier doing lower danger factor, so easier difficulty. There's a lot of chitin involved because AI are a little powerful at this level. Oh, and there we go again. I'll change that super item to over here so I don't mistake it. Check out lockouts, and we have A done, so we need B, which is this one. Capital ships generally have loads of physical resist, and a weakness to mining. Some capital ships have different weaknesses, but that's a general class whole weakness. So as you can see how tanky big greens are, this is not optimal. We don't want to be fighting this level very long. So kill as much as we can and jump. Their tankiness means that their damage will build up over time and cut short our DGing. We do not want to deal with Scrupples very often because they use missiles. And their missiles do mining damage, which of course you can see what's going to happen. Capital ships don't like mining damage. I'm going to skip over Messia, whatever it is, and go to Ain, while docking at the AI base in this galaxy, Montaigne, whatever it is, to clear off these parasites. We also might pick up a exterminator. Yeah, we'll definitely pick up a fire exterminator. Fire extinguisher. Which is Tech 6. Our Primal Bear Pelt isn't particularly regenerative, which is probably one of the reasons why this setup isn't working as well as it should work. Very resistant shield, no regen. Well, very little regen. Oh yes, this crap, shoot. So these are Space Blue Gammas. Space Blue Gammas have a ton, they're basically small capital ships. They launch fighters, lots of fighters. Yes, Gunner can blast through them very easily. They are weak to mining damage. It's just that they have a lot of fighters, and their damage can add up over time. We're about 15 minutes in, we have cleared out essentially 3 DGs, which comes out to be about a DG every 5 minutes or so. Okay, so these are Sawtooth X's. They have a Grem cannon, well, not really a Grem cannon, a Grem laser that locks a turn of your ship. Particularly useful to have something that has high tracking or full tracking weapons. Or to use speed and or range. They're weak to fire, not mining. But they're dropping decently. Realistically, we're only interested in the augmenters and the loot. So we're pretty much energy stable with this weapon. Unless we use our Swifty and our Torch very often, we're pretty much energy stable with a few missiles and firing these things constantly. Speak of the devil. more gammas, and a big green. It was easy enough. Wasted half the energy bank, but easy enough. These are diamond carriers. The gemstone type carrier and transport AIs all have the same Grim laser as the Sawtooth series. These guys are just slightly bulkier, and well, they're bulkier if you're not using mining damage. So that was the yellow rosy AI. We just kite him with the capital lasers and be on our way. Another big green AI. This time another boss. This is a sniper big green. Does a little more damage, but it's a little more fragile than normal big greens. The difference between a normal big green and a sniper big green is the levels primarily. They're both pretty tanky and therefore not recommended to kill. We're going to use our torch to go a couple of jumps away to the next set of galaxies. We might have just enough space for one more pile of loot. So we'll just go here, grab the loot, and run back to our storage depot. For the sake of this challenge, we need to put everything into the same depot. And we'll toss the stuff that is very easy to get for the actual loot. About 20 minutes have passed, and we have cleared out 1, 2, 3, dungeons with plenty of bosses in between. Sawtooth axes are pretty bulky, not particularly vulnerable to mining damage. So we'll try to kill these guys as quickly as we can. The torch weapon helps immensely for traveling. These are normal sawtooth, not the axes, so they're a lot weaker to mining. And have a lot less health. This is an enrichment crystallizer. We don't care about that. That's common enough. Not really worth that much loot anyways. And now we're headed back to our storage. It's not as fast as a higher level gunner, obviously, but it is going fast enough. 4 DGs under our belt, the lowest is down to 20 on. Is down to 39 minutes. Basically, we're clearing 8 bosses for 20 minutes. What that means is that we should be pulling about 24 bosses per hour. All unequipped items, transfer all, chuck into the Leviathan. And now we start our next series of dungeons. More Sawtooth X's. Try to clear them as quickly as we can. this level is going to be a chore. And all sawtooth X's. Checking the lockouts again. We're up to a decent amount. all this time is basically smooth sailing on DGing. Okay, so our DGing list, our DGing thing is almost done. We have about 8 more minutes which allows us to go back and drop off stuff. Yeah, we have 10 more minutes exactly from this point on. Check the clock. Okay, it is 1 minute to the hour. I'm going to call time now. Show you the total number of DGs and lockouts. So you see this. All these are lockouts. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 DG bosses cleared in an hour across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 the actual DGs. So with this in mind, we're going to go back to our storage depot, dock up, and see what kind of loot we got. This is all raw footage, so I'm not going to cut anything trying to get back. Okay, docked up, transfer all, kick it into the Leviathan, and let's see what we get. In this Leviathan, we have gotten some Master Pirate Curse, a Dynamite, some commod crates, Impulse, some Hobarian weapon components, liposuction, a glue gun, some Easter loot, a cool stop, tons of tweaks, large holding scoop, a decent energy, and a ton of augmenters. This is 1 hour's worth of DGing.